live from New York. It's Ask an Engineer, and we have the receipts to prove it.
That's right. Welcome
That's footage.
Welcome to the Adafruit Autonomous Zone here in downtown Manhattan. It's me, Lady Ada. With me is Mr. Lady Ada. We've got an exciting show. We just ended up 1 hour of show and tell, hosted by the wonderful John Park. Thank you so much.
Yep.
We had a jam-packed show with news, videos, guides, tutorials, code, new products, all that and more.
Yeah, we got all going on.
You know what? Actually, if you want, I'll even bring in. It's not out yet. Maybe I'll grab one.
Oh, we'll do that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well,
what's on the show?
Why don't you kick off the show?
On tonight's show, reminder, we are open safely and we are shipping. We are just about getting to all orders that come in, so no delays. Looks like order comes in. We have our teams on staggered shifts. We have masks, gloves, all the protocols we have. Adafruit.com/open safely. It supports us, an open source hardware company in New York City. We also recently got minority-owned women business certified. So when you order something, we ship it to you, and you're supporting all of us. That's pre-COVID photos over there.
That's right.
Show and tell, people around the world showing and sharing their projects. Thank you, JP. Lady Ada has city council meetings and more, and a lot of stuff going on Wednesdays now. So teams helping out. Thank you, JP. We'll go over who is on the show.
He's so much more energetic than us, though. I mean, he's just got like miles of energy.
He should. I would like him to do city council meetings.
Yeah.
And then we'll go back to show and tell. I think he would do good.
That's right.
Speaking of JP's show and Make Code, we're going to be talking about that. We'll be talking about Python on hardware. Got some time travel. A lot of stuff is going on in the world of makers, hackers, artists, engineers, and this thing called Planet Earth. Made in New York City factory footage. Some 3D printed news and video. Everyone's favorite segment. DigiKey and Adafruit bring you Ion MPI. We got some new products. We got some It's Not Out Yet. We're going to answer your questions. We're going to do that over on adafruit.it/discord, where you can join all 21,000 of us and more. All that and a bag of chips, maybe.
Yum.
On Ask an Engineer.
Salty.
Oh,
yeah.
You had sent me a leak. Was that the top secret you wanted to show? Because I didn't get that in the show yet. I was going to put that online.
No, but I physically have.
You physically have?
I have stuff upstairs. I can just bring it.
Okay, let's try to remember to do that if we can.
Yeah.
We'll try to remember to do the top secret when we get there.
Yeah, I have stuff on my desk.
Okay. All right, so let's just dive right in. Like you said, we'll be doing discount code soon again, or again soon. I think both those words work in that order. Mm-hmm. But not yet. So for now, just please place orders. We're pretty much shipping orders as fast as we used to.
I think it's less than a week.
Oh, yeah.
Much less.
Oh, yeah.
Now.
No, it's definitely that.
Yeah.
And that keeps us alive, and it keeps us going. Thank you so much, everyone who's been keeping us on life support during this time and more. We very much appreciate it. The first thing that we're going to go to this week is show and tell. So people around the world, they show and share their projects. Lady Ada, you have a list of people that were on the show and tell?
I took notes.
Who's on the show and tell? What they share?
All right. Well, we kicked it off with Kevin W. from DigiKey giving us the DigiKey update. They're sanitizing bins. The people working from home when necessary. He's been working from home a lot of the time, although he says he comes into the warehouse to help out. And Grace, who is a DigiKey work from home intern, came by. She's at University of Minnesota Duluth. And she took the DigiKey IoT Home Kit that we did for the Adafruit IO video series, and she converted it to use Adafruit IO and Arduino, and she said it was really easy, did it in only a couple days. I was using Atmosphere's BLE protocol, and now it's using pure Wi-Fi. And the cool thing is Kevin was controlling the lights and reading the sensors on the home model from where he was in Thief River Falls. So it's like they had like 2 videos and they were doing IoT communication and it was working. So it's live demo, but it was great. Scott came by and talked a little bit about ESP32S2 Circuit Python news. He's working really hard on it almost every day. He's getting ready for Wi-Fi socket support. Phil B had a camera demo for the Grand Central using the SAMD51's PCC camera peripheral with an OV7670 camera. These are cameras that kind of burst out a frame of data. He's reading the data into RAM. It's 150K of RAM, and then writing it to a display screen. And he's able to do it like 30 plus frames a second. It's buttery smooth. DMA data in to DMA data out. Chris Young came by and had a really cool demo. He had 2 Pi gamers,
Oh, yeah?
each with an RFM69 Featherwing plugged into it, and you could play a game, like a 2-player game remotely, done all on Arduino. You said he's too old for CircuitPython. That's okay. And for accessibility, he had a keyboard control for it. But really epic, and he says he's writing a guide.
That's cool.
A 2-player Pi gamer example, and the RFM69 can work like almost a mile away. So you can really 2-player with somebody across the street. Blitz City came by with her copper cut circuit that's cut on a Cricut. It's a Cricut cut copper circuit. Say that 4 times fast.
Yeah, and you can use a Cricut and use it with a Cricut.
That's right.
With the circuit playground.
It wasn't Cricut compatible. It was Cricut.
Yeah.
Made.
But you can.
And she said it worked really well. It was an interesting technique. She got the big sheets and she cut out the circuit. And she's going to try to do some transparent circuits next.
Yeah.
Bruce is making Pi Zero surveillance cameras. He wanted PoE, but there was no combined USB Ethernet plus PoE adapter, so he made his own with a 3D printed case that's on the Proofs of Prints website, and he basically put together the circuit board from a USB to Ethernet converter and a circuit from a Ethernet PoE adapter to make it all-in-one setup. It looks really cool. So he's got some really neat surveillance cameras, kind of pushing the customizable surveillance camera technology. Nan Pedro had a couple projects. They brought over the Dillon's bike mount for Circuit Playground Express. They made a nice 3D printed mount with a little battery holder, and it screws onto the Circuit Playground Express case. They showed off the redux of the Lucio Blaster that JP has been revising. They're printing another set for him. And a demo of MIDI-controlled drum. They're working on robotic drumming. Tim had a vacuum tube project, so he got a vacuum tube tester from Heathkit. It's massive. It's cool. It seems to still work. He's going to learn about it. John was going to go to a Disney Halloween party, but didn't want to bring his super fancy lightsaber in case they wouldn't let him in with it. So we made one of JP's simple lightsabers. This was a project for the Halloween Ada box, so 2 years ago. But it's it's slowly but steadily becoming a very popular, easy project. It uses a Gemma M0, an LED strip, and the technique that John used to DIY it using hardware store goods, so nothing custom printed. Chaos had an audio box with an LED wall. Christopher made an 128 by 96 LED RGB panel controlled by a Raspberry Pi and wrote a clone of a game that he used to play called Megabug. It looked great. He got the LED plastic on it as well. Orlando gave us an update on his Bluetooth audio PCB. He's going to try to fix the audio hum. Colin showed off his Vote keyboard. It's a keyboard that all it does is type Vote. It was milled, I think, on another mill. And then I had to go, but it looked like JP also showed off maybe his Lucio Blaster and a MIDI music creator with a clue.
Yeah, we have a preview of the Lucio Blaster project we're
Yeah.
going to show in a second. All participants on the show and tell will get a show and tell sticker probably really soon because we're pretty much quote back and we'll be able to send out stickers to people. So if you were on the show in the past, we'll get the word out, but we'll make sure we get you a sticker.
Yeah.
And then going forward, we'll have that part of our Adafruit live series of shows. Been doing this for a decade. Show and tell is 7 p.m. every Wednesday. It'll be one of us doing it always, and we do it for a full hour now because a lot of people are still working from home or they have more projects they're working on, and we wanted to give everyone time and space to show and share their projects. It's 1 hour of sharing and more.
And it's full. I mean, it was
It's
done at
full every
8:02
week.
today.
And then Wednesday at 8, which is right now, is Ask an Engineer.
That's right.
Tomorrow at 4 p.m., JP Show. And here's a little bit of a preview of what you're going to see on JP Show tomorrow. Tuesday we have Make Code Live with JP, and we're talking to Microsoft. Maybe we'll do some more shows and things around Make Code. One simple thing to do if you have a Circuit Playground Express, just plug it in your computer and go to makecode.adafruit.com. I saw today folks were like, they're asking each other on Twitter, like, what's the easiest way to do like physical computing and like electronics?
There is
and
no easy way.
Makecode.adafruit.com.
So easy and extremely powerful too.
Is a top one in there.
Yeah, you got sound, LEDs, sensors.
And
just
then
works.
one of the
any
ways
platform.
that we like to look at it is like if you want to do some quick block programming, Makecode's the way to go. And then Python is getting taught in schools around the world. It's the official language.
Yeah, there's Python support, there's JavaScript support.
And then you'll move up to like something like
Yeah.
CircuitPython.
Yeah.
And speaking of, with CircuitPython, we have our Python on Hardware newsletter. Towards the end of the show, we're going to show
Yes, stick around
Katney's
for that.
video version of this. We do this every single week, and it's a way for Lady Ada and I to catch up on the Python on Hardware news because we're just jamming out, keeping Adafruit going, and so we don't get to make the newsletter as much as we used to. So now we are a subscriber and a user of the newsletter and a reader. Time travel. Let's look around the world of hackers, artists, and engineers, stuff that's going on and more. So, happy birthday, America.
Yay!
So July 3rd is an Adafruit company holiday.
It's Friday.
It's Friday,
So
and
the
one of
long
the
weekend.
one of the reasons we do that. So anytime a holiday ends up on a weekend, we will work with the team and say, "Hey, which weekday do we want to do?" It's also a float. Some people are going to still be working. Some people are going to be in.
Yeah.
And shipping will not go out on one of those times. So certain types of shipping, like postal, will be
That's
delayed.
right.
So just know that when you check out. And America is going through some problems right now. We're number one in not the greatest
We're
ways.
like a problem child of the world.
We are. We're responsible for a lot of the COVID cases out there. But one thing about America is we're uniquely and perpetually optimistic.
Yeah.
It's one of the things, even maybe we shouldn't be sometimes, but we are. And also, one of the things that's coming up this year, it's an election year, a big election year.
Yeah.
And so you'll start to see companies, people, brands empower their employees and show their employees that they care about what's important to them specifically.
Yeah.
So you'll see Adafruit in the news a bunch because we got on this early on. We have paid day off for voting.
That's right.
And
We've done it for 3 years now.
yeah, what's interesting is we're now in this category of companies. So this website, Daily Beast, says corporate America's new push to give you election day off.
Yay.
And the pull quote was, "There is an endless hunger for CEOs to show that they go above and beyond in support of their people," said Coralie Kenna, a spokesperson for Patagonia. So one of the things that we've been noticing is there's company values that have been arriving. So Patagonia is, they want to save the planet, and like here's voting.
Yeah.
Adafruit's now in that group of companies. So we start to see like Adafruit, Patagonia. If they do alphabetical order, we're first, but usually Patagonia is more well known. So there's like Patagonia, North Face, Adafruit, and there's things like paid day off for voting. So you'll see that a lot, and that is one of the things that we wanted to do for the team. If you work at a company and you need help talking to your management, send me an email, pt@adafruit.com, and I will help you. Because this came from us wanting to do this for our team, but I understand that different companies, they have different policies, and there's a way to get this in your company. Drop me a note. I'll help out.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just showing that other companies are doing it. Sometimes it's like, here's what's in our employee handbook, because people are like, oh, the handbook. We could just send over what we did. We're here to help. So that brings us to what our ongoing efforts are. And around June, our team came together and said, we're not just going to be a hashtag. We're not just going to do performative stuff. We want to do real actions that have a specific goal. Stop cops murdering black people. That is the eye on the prize. That is what people are marching in the streets for. There's a lot of things going on, but that is what we said. This is important to us.
Yep.
And so we have our action page, and it's gotten bigger and bigger. But you can see there are things happening. It's only been few weeks, but there is actions that we can all take, and our team's been taking. We need people to sign petitions. They work. Thing about petitions, you don't think they work, but Elijah McClain, they reopened the case in Aurora, Colorado. Breonna Taylor, there is small movements on that. There has been a police officer fired. Things are happening, but we can't let up. This can't just be like, okay, you know, that's over. Juneteenth, you know, that was a day. Okay, now we're back. There's no going back to normal. We need to continue to work together. So here's all the things that we collect, that our team sends, we put here, and then we have actions. So if you're trying to figure out, like, what can I do? How can I help? Retweeting is fine, you know, cool. But there's actions, there's reform, there's things that you can do in your local communities. So the thing that is happening right now, and the thing that that we try to find, like, what are things that we have expertise in and we can help out and we can have examples. And this week, one of the big efforts that it looks like there's progress on is there's one place online that has misinformation, hate, endangers Black people, has Holocaust denying, has misinformation. It's been Facebook. And there was a campaign that was started by NAACP and Anti-Defamation League, and it was Friday, 11 days ago.
Yeah.
And they announced they're doing this, and there was no brands, no companies signed up. So we contacted them, and we said, hey, like, we have some specific things we want to see Facebook change, and we've been trying to get Facebook to change this for years. They don't listen to us. We spend a bunch of money on Facebook advertising, but not enough. Also, today Mark Zuckerberg said, we don't care. They'll come back if there's a boycott of advertising. Don't worry, they'll come back. Or allegedly, so that, you know, leaked conversations.
Yeah.
So the thing that one of our actions items this week was, okay, let's make it clear why we're signing up for this campaign, and it's called Stop Hate for Profit. And I'll just give you one specific example that happens at Adafruit that's been happening. Mm-hmm. So when we post our, like, hey everybody, here's our latest video, we have a thumbnail because it comes off the YouTube video of, like, about Adafruit.
Yeah.
We also have, like, here's, you know, company photo, here's Ada Lovelace Day. When we post up on Facebook, it is the only social media platform that has white supremacy flood our posts and put terrible comments. And I don't know why Facebook says that this doesn't happen. You could put in, like, block words and all that. Well, people figure out stuff. So it's our skin color, it's our genders, it's everything about Adafruit. This is the only place where people type in, I'm calling ICE on you. Like, this is how bonkers it is. So what people don't know behind the scenes is when we put stuff on Facebook, we have to, like, make sure we have a moderator, make sure we do stuff, because it's not just like leave it and turn off comments, because you can't. So, you know, things that we've asked for over the years is, like, hey, like, when we live stream, so this weekend we live streamed and we did a pride cheer, because in New York, for 5 minutes, just do a pride cheer. Yay, you know, it's pride.
Yeah, there's no pride parade.
Yeah, so you only have choices of follow or slow, discussion, restricted, or protected for comments on your live streams. So you have to, like, keep an eye on it. And sure enough, I had to, like, okay, like, you know, there's bots, there's also mean people, and there doesn't seem like, no matter what we say or do, Facebook has not made progress on getting rid of hate speech on their platform. So we joined this. Hashtag Stop Hate for Profit. And they sent out the call to actions. They have a playbook. So we're part of this right now. Lots of different groups are part of it. It was North Face. The first company besides North Face was Adafruit, then Patagonia, and then there's 530 something companies. Most of the top advertisers on Facebook, and then a lot of smaller companies. For the month of July, we're pausing our ads. The return on ad spend for Facebook is great. We like advertising on Facebook. Advertising is a good thing. If you give good information, like we do, like here's a cool video about something you can make at Adafruit. That's a good thing to advertise. Here you go. We're not doing that for the month of July. We'll get back, we'll see, but we want to see some significant progress with tools and things for advertisers to do. So what does that mean? Well, other companies also did this. Magnolia Pictures. So Magnolia Pictures decided, everything okay over there?
Yeah, I'm just...
Okay. Magnolia Pictures also said, hey, we're going to pause our advertising. And we said, okay, well, you have a documentary coming out. You're not going to be advertising. Maybe we can help. So we're going to the movies. July 3rd, you can get a virtual ticket, just like we did. And this is a documentary I wanted to see for a while. John Lewis, Good Trouble. A lot of people might know who John Lewis is, civil rights activist, a congressperson. Probably one of the quotes that you've seen on our website. Here's John saying it.
My philosophy is very simple. When you see something that is not right, not fair, not just, say something, do something, get in trouble, good trouble, necessary trouble.
So, Good Trouble.
Yeah.
I think for years I've kind of borrowed it. It's just like sometimes you have to get in good trouble, necessary trouble. And Magnolia Pictures, they're not advertising on Facebook. That's where they get a lot of people to go to the movies. Also, there's no movie theaters open.
Yeah.
So what we did is we bought 131 tickets for Adafruit. Cyber tickets. So you put in your code. And Magnolia Pictures like, this is great. We're going to help promote the movie and tell people to watch this. It's an American story. There's nothing more American than this. So something fun to do on 4th of July.
That's right.
So maybe join us. Check out our blog post.
It's streaming on like various platforms.
Streaming everywhere. It's
whatever
also
you got.
free.
It's also free.
So you can check it out. So that's one of the things. That's some of the things that we're doing. Every week there's something else. Check out adafruit.com/Black Lives Matter. Check out our website. These are things that we do as an electronics company.
And a lot of these you can do at home.
Yeah.
You don't have to go outside.
Okay, other time travel. Happy birthday, Zip Code.
Yay, Mr. Zip.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Mr. Zip. Thanks for remembering me. Here's some zip code trivia.
Okay.
Lady Ada. I don't know if you know about this.
I wasn't ready for that now.
Yeah. Okay. Zip codes are not as old as you think. They're only a little bit over 50 years old. They were introduced in World War II, and they were officially implemented in 1963.
No, that's really recent.
The ZIP is Zoning Improvement Plan code. It was created when the Postal Service lost a huge portion of their team to go off to World War II. Okay. So they needed to be more efficient with how they delivered the mail because they had less people. So...
Interesting.
So that's where the zip code came from.
Well, it makes sorting a lot easier. Now it's all done with OCR too.
Yeah. So Postal Service is in the news. Everybody wants the Postal Service to stick around. It'd be great if they were around. They're very important. We rely on them as a business.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of people are going to be voting by mail this November.
Well, you get
super important
jury duty by mail. You get letters and postcards.
Yeah. So that's
You
happening.
get some bills, of course, but.
Okay. So, zip code, happy birthday.
Happy birthday
That's
to
going
Zip.
on. Yeah. All right. Open source and open source hardware news. We got stuff going on this week. So, first up, there is a lot of movement in the open source community. This is from Red Hat. Together we stand, united we rise. Making open source more inclusive by eradicating problematic language. So Red Hat, which I would say when people say what is open source, name an open source thing.
They're like the biggest open source software company.
Most successful open source company out there.
Yeah.
So Red Hat is making strides and efforts to remove words like master and slave, having their branches of code go from master to main. This is something that's been going on in the software community for a while.
Yeah.
So that is Red Hat. You'll see this in a lot of different open source communities. It's happening with GitHub.
Mm-hmm.
There's conversion tools that'll allow you to convert like master branch to main branch. And that means this old outdated terminology is hopefully going away.
Yeah.
And we can just move forward with better words. So, speaking of, if you go over to Oshawa, and I'm going to go over to the website now.
Okay.
And then hop over here. Open Source Hardware Association has a resolution to redefine SPI signal names. And I'll zoom in on this in a second because, Lydia, you know about this specifically. We are endorsers of this, and we wanted to help out with this effort. So much like Red Hat, much like a lot of open source communities and efforts, there are terminology updates and more. So the deprecated names are similar to what Red Hat in the open source community Linux world is doing, getting rid of master out, slave in, and renaming these.
Yeah.
So these are signal
Names.
names.
Yes.
And so how difficult was it for us to change this. But this is something that we've
It was
been
very
doing for a
easy.
while.
I mean, for actually a while, we've been using, instead of, for MOSI and MISO, which is like the most commonplace you see electronics, because it's an acronym that's used in data sheets and stuff. We actually just used microcontroller out, sensor in. And like, it actually, I think, is a little easier for people to recognize and like master out, slave in, because there's a microcontroller or microcomputer like a Raspberry Pi connecting to a sensor or secondary, device. I actually saw somebody said they wanted to use mother and son, and like the mother tells the son what to do, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of like a cute hack. Again, using the same signal names, MOSI and MISO, and then actually a lot of boards we have already use SDO and SDI. That's, for example, like the BMP series humidity sensors. I know that they use those names. They don't use MOSI and MISO, so that's really easy. And then there's also COPI and KIPO or CIPO, which is controller and peripheral, which I think is a good alternative, because I've used SDO and SDI, but I do prefer using something where the names of the things you connect are the same. Like with I2C, SCL, and SDA are the same connections.
Yeah.
So I like it, CIPO and COPI, controller out, peripheral in. Those, I think they're just a teeny bit easier for people to use. I'm not, like, there's nothing wrong with SDO, SDI. I've used them before. But I think if I was going to push for chip companies to change, I'd say COPI, CIPO would be good, because it's very similar to MISO, MOSI, and again, you connect the things that are named the same. Trying to avoid the RX-TX issue that we had with UARTs, which is, to me, I still make that mistake all the time. Whether RX connects to RX or TX connects to RX, it's a pain.
So if you're curious, check out the OSHWA site, oshwa.org.
Yeah.
You can take a look at the article that's on Hackaday. And I also want to compliment the Hackaday folks, because, and this is going to make this about me for like 1 second. So I started the site Hackaday, designed the logo. I'm attached to that site forever, whether I like it or not. And whether
you're the mother and it's the son.
And whether they like it or not. So, when I see people say, I don't like sharing my project on Hackaday because of the comments, and when I see, the comments not being good for the community, it hurts me, because it's, I started that site like 16 years ago. I have nothing to do with it now.
Yeah.
There has been a lot of progress made, and I know sometimes there's crummy comments anywhere on the internet, but Sophie, who runs a lot of different parts of Hackaday, I sent an email, and there was a lot of comment cleanup. There was a lot of the team, Mike Stitch, the editor, talking to people, trying to get them to have empathy. A lot of engineers, and I'm sure there's, we're focusing on the show right now. I'm sure there's people debating about this in our live comments, but, if just because you haven't experienced racism, because you don't have that life, you haven't lived that life, don't think this isn't something that's important.
There's also like, one thing I thought was really interesting to hear from team members is they're like, it's not enough to just not be racist. You have to be anti-racist. You actually have to do like the 10 or 20% more to combat potential racism, not just say like, well, I personally am not racist and therefore it's okay. You actually have to put a little bit more effort in, and that's how, just don't just clean up when you litter. Maybe pick up somebody else's litter too.
Yeah. So anyways, good work, Hackaday. I know, like, running communities and moderation tools and like all this stuff, it's a lot, it's extra work. So people don't want to do it. But it's worth it, because if you look at the success of Adafruit, it's because we're an inclusive, diverse community. We have 22,000 people on Discord. We have a huge community of people. Look at us. Look at the photo of us. Look, this is the type of place that people want to be. So these things are important to us.
Yeah.
There was a jerky guy whose comment eventually got deleted on, whatever website. Clearly, he doesn't work around anyone except for people who are him and look like him.
Yeah.
So he doesn't understand that this is an issue. So, like, imagine it, like, having empathy and being others focused just for like a minute. I think people understand, like, this wasn't difficult for us to change the names. It wasn't difficult for us to update old terminology. It wasn't difficult for us to listen to the community and say this is something we can do. Company names change all the time. Remember when Particle was Spark? Well, like, it happens. Like, there's name changes in technology, and this is something that affects people. So it's important, and, like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Progress. So that's what folks should check out. All of our Learn docs are updated. Code repositories updated. And we'll keep at it.
Yep.
All right. Next up. We are an open source hardware company amongst all these things. Play We have 2,228 guides. What's on the big board this week?
We have 3 new guides this week. We have a guide for the Adafruit 1.3-inch color TFT bonnet for Raspberry Pi. Thanks to Melissa and Kattni for writing that up. It was one of the ones that was dropped in March and never finished, but we finished it now. We also have a translation to Spanish of Kattni's Circuit Playground Express guide, first guide she wrote, Piano in the Key of Lime. This is a piano of limes, fully translated to Spanish. So great for young students who don't speak English, and there's a lot of them. There's like millions of them. Check it out. You need a Circuit Playground. You can install the Spanish version of Circuit Python, and you can get rolling making your own touch-controlled piano. We also have a guide from Liz Clark. She wrote a game based on the Dino Jump Chrome game that was built into the browser when you don't have internet. But this time it's Blinka jumping over Sparky the Smoke Monsters. And she just basically teaches you how to make a sprite-based jumping game, which I think is a good beginner game. What I like is the graphic stuff that's built into CircuitPython makes it really easy. The whole program is maybe like 150 lines of code, which is very little. It's almost all logic, because the graphic stuff like tile management and animation is handled for you.
Okay.
That's it.
That's the Learn guides for the week.
That's right.
All right, let's do some Made in New York City factory footage. We are in New York City. We are making things. We are a
Yes.
manufacturing company.
Here's some photos of those things.
Yeah, we got some stuff going on.
We
Here's
got
some
some
stencils with some light breaking through. These are some of the
Stencils.
older ones that we have with the
Old
smaller
style.
stenciler. Here is the selective solder machine.
At high speed, it's not normally this fast.
Well, we work fast.
This is making a relay feather wing. Go Pelican.
Yeah. And here are some photos of the reels that the pick and place machine uses. No, this is not a new weapon for a video game for the next PlayStation coming out. These are what we feed into the pick and place machine, hence the name feeders.
Feeder. You can see the feeders plugged into the machine and then get picked up and placed.
All right.
Clink clunk.
So as you can see, we are making stuff.
You're making some cellular modules.
Yeah, we've been catching up. You know, one of the metrics that we look at is our in-stock percentage because we don't take back orders, so we have to make everything that we sell. It's important to
Been
us.
crawling up.
We're getting there. And then last up, there was, I'm going to say it's a sign, double rainbow,
Oh, cool.
outside of Adafruit.
Wow, and that was on Pride Day, right?
Yeah.
Did we got that shot somehow?
Yeah. Dano shot this right out the window.
nice.
Yeah, this was right outside Adafruit.
Good catch.
Yeah, isn't that cool? All right, 3D printing. Zip, 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 zip. Okay. I think tonight's theme is saying thanks, gratitude, and hey, there's improvements and progress we can make together. So
Yeah.
my 3D printing news, and we're going to show some videos, is thanks MakerBot Thingiverse.
Yeah, you contacted them this last week.
Yeah. So let me tell you a story.
Oh boy.
A teacher,
comfy.
a teacher emailed us
Yeah.
and said, "Hey, I'm a teacher." Yeah, that's how teachers talk. Hey, I'm a teacher.
I'm a teacher.
They're very instructional. They say, "Hey, I'm a teacher, and thanks for your work in equality in the tech world and like the stuff you're doing, Adafruit. I'm frustrated because MakerBot has this site Thingiverse, as you probably know, And there's some racist 3D models that I've emailed, and they just didn't take them down. And one of them, they may have said it was like free speech. And they didn't want to take it down. Mm-hmm. Is there anything you can do? And I said, yeah. Send me a link to what you're talking about. Let me take a look at it. Let me get all the information. And yeah, Adafruit will do our best. And my strategy is to always contact people directly. Give them a chance to address things. Give them a chance to say, oh, thanks for this. Not go direct to Twitter, not Twitter shame, not,
You've been. People have said about you. You always go all the way into contacting people.
I do all the steps.
Getting feedback, giving them plenty of time.
I will contact PR people. I'll do everything. The last thing you do is shame people without giving them a chance. You want to say, hey, like, we found this issue.
Yeah.
Can you fix it? So luckily, we were on some email threads with the newest CEO of MakerBot, and I had their PR contact. And I said, hey, this teacher contacted us. Here's some links to some specific things, and these were terrible, very clearly.
Yeah, they were bad.
They were really bad. And I said, hey, like, check it out. Within a few hours, all of the models were removed. The PR person got back to us. We posted a thing and said, thank you, everybody, good work. Sent a note to the teacher. The teacher was like, this is great, thanks.
Yay.
And, the teacher, when they emailed, they said, it's hard because, they use the website in classes.
Yeah.
And if the students, kids are kids.
Yeah, they just type in the worst words.
If they type in the worst words, like, you don't expect there to be lots of, like, 3D printed racist stuff.
Yeah, it's better if it's like, hey, there's nothing with this word.
So I want to say thanks to Thingiverse, MakerBot, for just setting a good example of, like, hey, thanks for letting us know. They also, they either had this or they newly updated it. There's a report a model function.
Yeah.
And I know that has worked because I found a couple other ones. But they got through most, and I reported and they were gone.
Okay.
So, anyways.
I already knew this story.
You knew this story, but thank you.
I lived through it.
Thank you for pretending it was new and interesting. So anyways, so that's that. So that's my like, hey, shout out.
Resolved.
Well, it's not.
For now.
Yeah, it's
Stay tuned.
Well, again, we're a technology company, we're an electronics company. What things can we do? And these are things that we can do.
That's right. You can't, not just racist, but anti-racist.
Yeah. So, anyways, thanks a lot. So we're going to show two videos back to back. One is this bike project and this 3D printed spring.
Okay,
take it away. No, Pedro.
Zip, zip.
Hey, what's up, folks? In this project, we're making a brake light with the circuit playground. This uses the built-in accelerometer and NeoPixels to make an automatic brake light. A 3D printed mount allows you to attach the circuit playground case to the frame of your bike. This senses when the bike is braking and lights up NeoPixels when the bike is slowing down. When the bike is at a full stop, the NeoPixels will fade in and out. The code was written in CircuitPython and uses the Circuit Playground library. It uses the accelerometer to sense when the CPX is in motion by averaging the values. The NeoPixels are triggered when the threshold is met multiple times in a row. Check out the guide for a full breakdown of the code by Dylan Harada. The bike mount is designed to be 3D printed without any support material. For a stronger and more durable part, you can use PETG filament. This uses the clear case for the circuit playground and a tripod screw adapter. To power this project, we'll use a 500 mAh rechargeable battery and a slide switch with a JST adapter. We wired up a slide switch and made a JST adapter so we can easily disconnect it from the battery. A tripod screw adapter is secured to the mount and features a threaded hole for screwing into. A 1/4-20 screw adapter is used to attach to the clear case. The slide switch is press-fitted into the built-in holder right behind the battery. The clear case for the circuit playground is designed to snap fit and features a built-in slide switch and buttons. The case attaches to the tripod screw and easily connects to the JST adapter on the slide switch. The battery is secured to the mount by sliding it into the pocket. The slide switch can then be plugged into the battery. The mount is designed to flex open so it can fit over the bike frame. You can clip it right under the seat and slide it up and down to adjust its position. To secure the mount in place, insert an M5 screw and tightly fasten to a hex nut. We think this makes a great addition to any ride and hope this inspires you on your next bike project. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more projects from Adafruit.
Okay, and don't forget every single week 3D Hangouts with Noah and Pedro, the longest running, most popular 3D printed show in the world. All right, Lady, this time.
That's right.
DigiKey and Adafruit bring
Present.
you
High on MPI.
Okay, this week. What is this, Lady?
All right, this week's Iron MPI is brought to you by DigiKey. That's now stocking a new dev board from Alorium Tech, which is also a friend of the fruit. But I would have picked this anyway because this is a really
We
cool
know them.
board. We do know them.
This is just a side note. We know them. They're doing a feather format thing, and we helped them out with some manufacturing equipment.
Yeah.
This is like we're making the feather ecosystem, and the things around the feather ecosystem is in itself an ecosystem. It's an ecosystem inside an ecosystem inside an ecosystem. No, this is cool. This
it
is our
is.
first Ion MPI that's been
That
a
has a
feather
feather.
format. Yeah.
Okay, so this feather, what's interesting is this is kind of like it seems like it's a bit of a collaboration between Intel, which makes the FPGA. Actually, they bought Altera, which is the company that makes the FPGA, but now it's called like Intel Altera FPGA. And again, this company Alorium that does design consulting for FPGA designs. And so one of the things they've done as part of their like consulting services is that they develop dev board hardware that I think helps them with their consulting because it's like they don't have to start over every time with a new board. And also because customers want to get started quickly prototyping with FPGAs. Okay, so here is the Ion MPI. It is the Evo M51. So what this is a feather-shaped board. I think it's a little bit longer than a normal feather, maybe 2.1 inches or 2.2 inches by 0.9 inches. But it's compatible with all feather wings. Some feather-like boards are longer one direction or the other. It's got a micro USB, it's got a JST, it's got power management, it's got a reset button. And for the microcontroller, it has a SAMD51, and you can see that kind of in the middle left there. It's the smaller BGA chip. So it's kind of like the Feather M4 Express. And then, this is all on like a single-sided board, which is amazing. They also shoved on there like a massive FPGA from Altera. I think this is a 25K LUT Max 10 FPGA board, FPGA chip. They also have a stemma connector NeoPixel on the right, and looks like some debug pads on the bottom. And what's interesting, and you can see in these photos, and I'll show also on the overhead, is the plain GPIOs on the 0.1 inch header are connected to the SAMD51, and you use those with Arduino as usual. You can use their SAMD51 development board support package, which I think is probably based off of ours, because I don't know of any other SAMD51 development board support packages. But then all the castellated pads that are kind of in between are connected to the FPGA. And the FPGA is connected to the SAMD51. So the SAMD51 can be used to program the FPGA. You can load, your whatever they're called, binaries onto the FPGA. It's connected through I2C, so for probably configuration and setup, and then a 10-bit parallel bus, so you can use that to shove data back and forth. And there's also the F port, which I actually don't know exactly what that is. And I think that's just the FPGA, just GPIO port. You can connect that as well for a non-parallel bus, maybe for like control signals and stuff. And then the other pins are again brought out to the pads on the outside, and I'll show you how you can actually connect to those pads in a little bit. So what's neat about this board is it combines one of my favorite chips, the SAMD51, which is so capable, with an FPGA that is extremely powerful. And the SAMD51 can
Yay!
run CircuitPython or be programmed with Arduino.
So again, ecosystem. It's a feather-shaped board. We help them with some manufacturing equipment.
Yeah.
It's an Ion MPI with DigiKey. It's docked and sold there, and you can program it with CircuitPython.
Yes, CircuitPython. Yeah, right now, if you want to talk to the FPGA, I think the example code is in Arduino. But I think they're going to be porting it to CircuitPython, especially if people bug them and say, "Hey, that's what I want to use this for." And so what's cool about that is you can have the ease of use and quick turnaround of writing code in CircuitPython for like user interface stuff, and then you offload computation to the FPGA. So if you want to connect to an HDMI display, or you want to connect to a camera, or you want to do some weird mathematical calculations that would be too slow on the SAMD51, maybe machine learning calculations, you want to offload that to the FPGA, you can do it. You can also, of course, program the FPGA and it kind of runs standalone, so it doesn't communicate with the SAMD51 or something. Okay, so then the next thing is, how do you connect to those pads? Well, they've got this board called the EvoTech M51. So let's go to the overhead now because I can show this off. The Evo tray. And then you see here the castellations. So there's the main holes that are used for connecting. You can just like through hole solder them. And then there's castellations here, 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 and even like a couple of ones over here, although these look like they're the USB connection, so that's kind of nice. That's right next to the USB port. And then this PCB, you solder it on, and you can just use a little bit of paste or some thin solder, and you can connect all the castellated pads here, and then they're brought out to 0.1 inch header. So it's cool is it's a single-sided board. It's probably a 4, 6, or 8 layer design. It's got everything you love about the Feather M4 Express, plus this gigantic chip. And if you were going to buy this chip, it's also available on DigiKey. It's the exact part number is the Altera Max 10 10M25 DAF. So this FPGA. Oh no.
Yeah. Did you want me to show you
No.
the
Nope.
site with the number at all?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Because I didn't give you that.
You want to
for
keep going there?
Yeah.
All right.
This chip on its own is like $80, $85 or something. So the fact that you can get this chip assembled, tested with a SAMD51 programming interface, and comes with the analog, digital, and the DACs and the timers and all that you can use in concert with the FPGA, and it's like under $100. It's a really good deal. Like, you might as well just get this if you're planning on doing any prototyping and even kind of like into small quantity production. But it's actually just less expensive and a lot easier on the hardware designer. Like, I don't want to route this BGA. This is like 196 pads. It's ridiculous. So I'm glad that Alorium has done it instead. So the next thing, and now, let's go to the next.
Yeah. Did you want to show this one?
I just showed that.
You go to the website.
So the next thing is also on DigiKey is they have a design integration services registry. And you can check that out if you're ever interested in doing like some design and you're kind of hit your limit of what you can do. Like, I can't quite do like the power supply, or I can't quite do the Wi-Fi certification. They do have a bunch of companies that are registered there that you can use to chat with them to get design help. And so Alorium is there. So as you're working with the Max 10, you get the dev board, you work with it, and then once you're ready to actually implement the Max 10 into production, you can contract with Alorium and they'll help you out.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And then, so this is the website in the short URL.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
for the dev kit, and we'll show the
Yeah.
dev kit. The design integration services, I didn't give you the URL. Just Google for that.
Oh, okay. Well, it's on DigiKey.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean,
Okay.
it's under like
And-
design integration.
And then we have a video.
Yeah, let's show the video, which is a video
Cool.
demo of the board.
We'll see you on the other side.
Yes.
The Evo M51 module from Alorium Technology is the next step in the evolution of our FPGA-enhanced embedded microcontroller boards. Evo features the 32-bit SAMD51 microcontroller along with an Intel Max 10 FPGA. Evo conforms to the Adafruit Feather specification for primary pinout, connectivity, and additional key features. Primary feather-defined I/O signals are available as plated 0.1-inch through-hole vias, making them very easy to access and solder to standard headers. Since Evo is designed to be an embeddable module, the primary I/O are also routed to castellated vias along the edge of the board. But we didn't stop there. Since there is plenty of space on the board and many more available I/O on the FPGA, Evo also provides an additional 34 digital castellated I/O. Finally, castellated I/Os are available for key interfaces such as USB, the SAMD single-wire debugger interface, and JTAG enable for bare metal FPGA uploads. Most of the digital I/O connections on Evo are routed through the FPGA to and from the primary castellated I/O. This provides the opportunity for developers to immediately capture inputs or drive outputs from the FPGA without requiring direct interaction with the SAMD controller. Of course, with the FPGA in simple pass-through mode, the SAMD can easily control the I/O as if the FPGA were not even there. As always, the team here at Alorium promotes the use of custom FPGA logic for implementing key functionality that requires accelerated performance, multiple parallel interfaces, or highly deterministic behavior. This may include providing offload engines for the SAMD, pipelines between the SAMD and the board I/O, or functions that are completely contained in the FPGA and isolated from the SAMD altogether. Like our other FPGA-based hardware, Evo M51 will support Alorium Technology-supplied pre-built FPGA images that target specific application use cases. In addition, designers will again have the option to develop their own custom logic blocks and integrate them into the top-level Max 10 FPGA design. Out of the box, Evo is programmable with Arduino just like many other boards based upon the SAMD 51, so writing and uploading firmware to the microcontroller is easy and familiar. In addition, Evo was specifically designed to support running CircuitPython, a version of Python created to run on small microcontrollers. CircuitPython is growing in popularity, and there's a steady increase in the developer community and number of hardware providers. We're hard at work finalizing the interface details between the SAMD and FPGA and preparing for our initial production run of Evo M51 boards. We look forward to sharing more information and finer details soon.
Okay, and don't forget, we're now putting these short URLs up. So if you go
That's
to
right.
digikey.com/short/Z9MVNC, you'll be able to see it in the part numbers.
That's right. And
2003
you can
EDO
pick up a dev board. And if they're not in stock, there was only a couple last I checked. Just put some back order. They're getting more. There just weren't many made in the first run, but they'll get another one to you in a week or two.
Okay, we're signing MPI.
Hard on MPI.
Alrighty, let's kick it off with some new products. Ready?
That's right.
Good dive right in.
It's time for new.
Okay, first up, a reminder, we are shipping. Don't forget, when you place an order on Adafruit.com, you are helping us, an open source hardware company in New York City. We are doing this thing, shipping safe and smart for you. We still have our buy one, give one for Black Girls Code going on. By the way, congratulations, Black Girls Code. Nissan featured them in the BET Awards, and it was an amazing ad for an amazing group doing fantastic work. We're very happy that we're able to deliver Circuit Playground Expresses. When you buy one, we send one to them. It's that easy. All right, first up.
Okay, first up, coming soon, it's a nice math print mask. I thought this was a funny design, available from one of the mask makers that we get masks from. It's got like little adjustable ear loops, and it's made out of 2 layers. The outer layer is kind of a thick cotton, and the inner layer is a comfy cotton. And then in between, you can put a filter. So let's go to the overhead, and I'll show that off. So this is like the kind of the thicker form setting material. So it's kind of like a cotton. It feels like it might be, water treated to prevent moisture. And then inside here, there's like a really soft but thick cotton layer. And then it comes with 2 of these PM 2.5 filtering inserts, and so you can like slide this in and replace this once a week. This is more for designed for people who are bicycling outside, or there's some air pollution. You don't really need this if you're just trying to keep your coughs and sneezes in, but it's another layer of filtering. And then you've got the soft cotton, and you've got the stiff filter in the center, and then this holds the outside, and it's got some like cool sort of differential equation type math print on the outside. So it's my math mask. I like wearing this one. So
Yeah, masks are in the news, and I can tell you that Lady Ada wears this one every day at the Adafruit factory when we're out in New York, when we're in safe and smart crowd situations where it's outdoors. So we've been doing this, and it is beta tested by Lady Ada herself.
I liked it, yeah.
Okay, next up.
Next up, we've got an update to the Unicorn Fat from Pomeroni. They have updated it to, instead of using, I think, NeoPixels or something on the previous version, now it has 2 either I2C or SPI RGB LED drivers. It's got 4 buttons on the front, and it's got, I think, like 11 by 7 controllable LEDs, or maybe more than that. Hold on, let me see. Sorry, 17 by 7 LEDs. So let's look on the overhead. So this is it running a demo. Get it to...
Nothing messes up overhead cameras.
No, they don't like the bright LEDs.
Yeah.
But you can see this is kind of running like a little animation demo. So each LED can have, I think, probably 16-bit or 24-bit color. The frame rate update is very fast. It seems to be like, at least 30 frames per second. You can draw little animations, and then you get 4 buttons on here and here. It's fully assembled, so you can just plug it right into your Raspberry Pi. It works with any Raspberry Pi with a 2x20 header, and the library is in Python.
Okay, next up.
Next up, we have a update, big sister to the to the list 331, which we put in a few weeks ago. This time we have the H3 list 331. And this is a really interesting ultra high range accelerometer. So usually accelerometers go to like, plus or minus 2, 4, 6, 8, maybe 16 or 32 Gs. Well, this one goes up to, let's see, go to the back. It goes to, I think, plus or minus 100, plus or minus 200, plus or minus 400 Gs. So this is for like rocketry or like physics experiments. Like this isn't what you would use for everyday accelerometer, like human motion. This is for like, I'm sending something into a very fast thing that is then going to crash, and I want to be able to capture that high G measurement. So I'll show it to you also on the overhead. It comes with Stemma QT connector, so you can just plug and play it into any of your dev boards, Raspberry Pi or Arduino. We have CircuitPython code and an Arduino library. One thing I do want to note is, because it's a very high range accelerometer, it's going to be a little noisy on the G range. Like, usually there's like a 1% noise on an accelerometer, but you don't notice it because it's like off in the 0.001 G position. But because this is at 200 Gs or 100 Gs, you're going to see some fluctuations of about 1 G because of that, just the noise of the precision of the sensor. The sensor is not designed for measuring small differences, it's meant for measuring very large differences in G forces. And so just be aware of that when you plug it in. You'll want to use maybe the low pass filter capability. You might want to do your own filtering or offset calculations. But you're not going to get like this beautiful 001 G measurement when it's not moving. You're going to see these fluctuations. But that just means that when you do get to like 100 G, 200 G, 400 G, those fluctuations will be 2 digits off of your desired range. So that's the only thing to watch out for. I think it's kind of shocked me when I first plugged in. I was like, oh my goodness, it's like so noisy. And then I realized like, oh yeah, of course it is. It's got 100 times the range.
Okay. And next up, ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot to bring in my power adapter.
Oh.
Hold on, let me
Well,
1 second. Let me see.
I've got videos of this. It's these really cool.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'll just show it with the video. Okay. So this is some analog LED neon strips that come in sort of like an enclosed weather-resistant silicone casing. These are not NeoPixels; they're analog LED strips. You can tell because there's 5 wires. The black wire is actually plus 12 volts. The green wire is for the green LED component, the red wire for the red LED component, the blue for the blue LED component, and then these are RGBW. They have a white LED component, and that's why there's 2 versions. One is a cool white LED, and one is a warm white LED. I actually can't tell, but in person you can. So if you want to have an accent lighting that has white LEDs color, it's kind of hard to mix RGB. It never quite comes out like as a pure white, especially if you're looking for a warm or cool color. And so with this, you have a separate set of LED diodes that gives you the white light. So you can have any color mix. You cannot individually address them, but you can address the whole strip. And I'll show just the raw strip.
Yeah.
Hold on, I got so many demos.
I've got all the demos here. Okay.
Okay, so let's get this to lock. Okay, so the side has got this kind of like grooved silicone, and the sides and the bottom are not translucent; they're opaque. And this is kind of like grooved. I think so you can like fit this into like architectural lighting, like you want to put this in some foam, or you want to somehow like adhese it to a surface. So you've got a lot of surface area on both these sides. And this is the part that glows, and it glows very uniformly. We kind of call these RGB LED neon because they have a kind of uniform neon glow, but they're not made out of glass, so you can like flexibly, move them around, and they don't stay in the position. So if you do want to put it into an unusual shape, you'll just have to fixture it somehow, either with glue or nails or what have you. And then as a reminder, it's an analog LED strip. It's a 12-volt analog LED strip. You'll have to PWM the LEDs, and all the LEDs on the strip change at once, so you can't individually address it.
Okay. All right. Next up, we got more blinkies.
Yes. Okay. So next up is, hold on, let me put this in. So this is addressable. So these are addressable 3-watt NeoPixel like chunks of aluminum PCB material. They've got a gigantic 3-watt LED, and they have a WS2811, which is like the SOIC chip version of NeoPixel. That's all integrated, except it's separated here because, if you're driving a chip at 3 watts, you're not going to be able to embed a microcontroller inside of it. And it has some driver chips as well. It comes, you can plug and play them together. They each come with a JST SM on the end. And then I can show them.
They're super bright.
On the overhead. They're like incredibly bright.
Yeah.
They're just super bright. And I don't even know if this is full brightness, but basically it is blinding. Like NeoPixel's already very bright.
I have to look away from over here when I'm doing this. It's kind of funny. You can also see it like in the reflection.
Yeah.
This is cool.
You can see it light me up.
Yeah,
so the bottom, it's got aluminum backed PCB, so that's nice. So it has some thermal relief. There's 2 mounting holes.
But hold them up again. Yeah, look at these.
Yeah, it's very nice and bright.
They're really bright.
It's bright. So yeah, very bright dots. Just be aware, each one can draw up to like half an amp almost. So when you power these, you'll just, if you want to power a lot, you'll need to have a really good 5-volt power supply. Other than that, they're NeoPixel compatible. This is just running the NeoPixel demo. Works just fine.
Okay. All right. And then last but not least, the star of the show tonight, besides data for community, all rated for team members, and new data is this.
Yay! It's a mini boost. This is a small boost converter that is surprisingly powerful for the size and price. It's a
You want to go to which one?
the
This
one you just
This one?
nope,
Can I go some?
that one, yeah, because I just see the text. So VN can be 2 to 5 volts. Although, to get the 1 amp out, I think you need to have like at least 3.5 volts in. The output is set to be 5 volts, although we give you, actually it's kind of like 5.2 volts. We give you a little bit higher than 5 because there's often a voltage drop on wires when you're powering things. But you can get 1 amp max out of this. At 2 volts, I think you can get like 300 or 400 milliamps out. 3 volts, you can get like, maybe 600, 700. But once you get to like a LiPo range, you can get an amp out. If it's a fresh LiPo, you can get like, even an amp, 1.4 amps. So it's quite a powerful little chip. It's really fully integrated. Basically just have an inductor, a bunch of 22 microfarad caps, and then the feedback resistor. There's an enable pin. When you bring the enable pin low, it'll actually completely disconnect the output. So that's great for a power switch. You don't have to like worry about feed through. But it's a great little booster. So, if you've got a couple of alkalines or nickel metal hydrides or a LiPo battery, this is a perfect way to boost it up to get 5 volts. So you can drive, Raspberry Pi Zero and maybe a couple accessories. The demo I have, to see if it still works, is having it power these ginormous NeoPixels. So let me see if we can get it to show the text. So you can see.
Oh, I was going to just zoom in.
Oh yeah. So you can see here, running the plain demo. I've got the booster here, and it's plugged into a LiPo battery, and it's powering the 3 ginormous 3-watt NeoPixels, giving it a nice 5.1 volts. This is an inexpensive way to just like toss in a 5 volt, if you want to connect it 5 volt sensors or NeoPixels, that you can drive them at 3.5 volts, but you won't get the best color. And one of the things to note is you can see when all the LEDs are on, it goes up to 1.3 amps, but it has no problem. It can absolutely supply 1.3 amps even off of a not so large LiPo. This is only a 1.2 amp hour battery, and it has no problem supplying it. Yeah, it doesn't get too hot. It's a really nice fully integrated boost converter. And for people who, they wanted something like a power boost, but they want it much smaller, chips have improved, pick this up. It's really small. You can integrate it into any product or project you'd like.
Okay. With that, that's new products.
Yay! Definitely.
All right, there's some questions about the new products. We'll get to those
We will.
soon, but let's do the top secret real quick, and then we'll start doing questions.
Okay, wait, I
we're-
dropped it.
It's okay. We're doing top secret, and while we're getting top secret going, start asking your questions over on Discord, adafruit.it/Discord. You can join all 21,000 of us.
That's
answer
right.
your questions there. Okay, so what's the top secret this week, Data?
This time I'm working on, this is a little bit older one, this is from a while ago, a breakup for the BH1750. This is a lux sensor that is actually kind of old, but a lot of people use it. It's actually like, people search our site for BH1750 and nothing comes up. And so I was like, why are they searching for this? But it's a light sensor that's used in a lot of people's projects. And so we thought, we're really good at making little breakouts for I2C sensors. So I popped it onto, a STEMMA QT compatible board. This is the sensor itself. It's got level shifting. It's got a 3-volt regulator. I think if you zoom in, the autofocus gets a little weirded out.
Yeah, but there's a button here. Look, to this button.
Yeah.
And you lock it.
Okay. But this is the sensor itself, and then got some connectors, a couple of resistor capacitors, and level shifters, so it's ready to go. And we just wrapped up a CircuitPython library, and there's tons of good Arduino libraries.
Okay. That is top secret. All right, so we're going to go answer some questions, and then after that, we're going to play the Python on Hardware newsletter, then we're outie. So let's give some folks some time for questions. Question, it's fresh in mind. How is this different than the Minty Boost?
You don't solder it yourself.
Specifically.
Yeah, you don't solder it yourself. It doesn't have a USB connector.
And is it as good as far as,
It's as efficient, definitely, but it's just not set up to put into a Mint tin and plug in a USB connector. You'll have to do that extra work to put, the USB adapter and the resistors required for iOS charging.
Okay. I'm sure either us or someone will very soon turn it into a mini Minty Boost.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
It's open source. Files are open.
Minimal Minty Boost. Okay. Next up, someone wants to run a video with VGA output on a microcontroller like an STM32. Is that possible?
It is. You get 8-bit color. You'll have to find a library that does the work for you. But there have been microcontrollers with VGA outputs. You'll just end up having to do a lot of timer configuration. Whether there's one for the STM32, I don't know. I've seen, ones for Arduino-like boards, like I think the Arduino Mega maybe, or the Dewey had a VGA library.
Okay. Let's see. Why is the Huzzah 32 expensive? I guess I'd say compared to what, but...
It's pretty, it's, a good quality board. We manufacture it, we test it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Folks are getting Lego thing. Okay. Nice LEDs are in stock. And accelerometer. Cool. I was curious how many cycles the stencil survives. Some of this stuff in the factory footage looks pretty scratched up.
That's normal because the stencil, the paste dispenser, the paste spreader is made of steel too. So you have steel on steel, so it's going to get scratched. But I think at least 1,000, maybe 5,000 cycles, or maybe even more, probably 10,000 cycles. I don't see why not. We've never had a stencil wear out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you just have to keep them clean. That's the only thing you got to do.
I don't recall needing to replace a stencil because of wear.
Yeah.
We have to do a lot of maintenance on the stenciler machine. It's like a lot of these machines, like you don't it's not just like press a button. You do have to maintain them. There's a lot of we have service that we do on them.
Yeah.
So that's where the wear and tear comes from. This is just like it's just plate of metal.
Yeah.
But I don't think we've had any that
No.
have needed to get replaced because of wear.
Nope.
Okay. Oh, for the Huzzah 32 compared to other ESP32 boards on Amazon.
That's because they're subsidized by the Chinese government. We're not.
Yeah, that's one way to say it. So, a lot of the cheaper electronics flood the market. And
Yeah, they're not tested usually.
Yeah, so here's what I'd say. Like, we're often the second place people buy stuff. The first time they buy something, they don't have a good experience. They buy something, there's no service, there's no support. They get something that's different than the thing they thought.
Yeah.
And they said, wow, like my time is way more valuable than the $1 or $2 I saved at the most. And then if you look at our boards that are fully featured, compare apples to apples,
Yeah.
we're spot on with the pricing.
Yeah, I mean,
Usually.
like for the amount of code support and tutorials and videos and guides, I mean, when we sell a board, you're paying for that as well. Like we have libraries, and those libraries have to be written by an engineer.
Yeah, even that aside, I mean, there's eventually, yeah, you can always get like an Arduino clone for cheap, but you're now limited with
Yeah.
just what that board can do.
And also, there's
And-
there's corner cutting I've seen that gets people later. They're like, oh, I didn't realize that this part is really out of spec, and it's kind of being overdriven, and eventually it
Yeah,
fails.
but I always say like go experiment with finding that super cheap deal. You can go on Taobao or Alibaba. 6 to 8 weeks, you'll get your thing. Maybe it'll be the thing you want, but like
Totally cool.
It's all about like what is your time worth,
Yeah.
and what do you want to do.
And who's going to give you tech support?
Yeah, I don't mind being the second
Yeah.
company. Okay. Next up. Well, this leads to how do you?
How do you make the stencils?
Oh, yeah.
Stencils are made by a company in New Jersey called Blue Ring, and they laser cut them with a very powerful laser that can cut stainless steel.
Yeah. Oh, I'll say one more thing about the lower cost places you can get stuff. eBay,
Yeah.
AliExpress, Amazon. A lot of people, that's their first entry, and if they manage to get into a hobby, all roads eventually kind of lead to Adafruit stuff because we make good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have the newest, we're always
yeah,
going to have the
like-
newest things, and then eventually it gets cloned and filtered, and it reaches everywhere else. And that's normal.
But I feel like if the choice is like, you can only get it from like one place, or you can get things from lots of different places, and people
Yeah.
expand their hobbyist career.
No,
their
it's like, I think it's
and their
good.
professional needs. I say great. Buy the cheap thing and then get good at what you want to get good at, and then like I promise you, we probably when you actually get that like taste level, it's like I care about the things.
Yeah.
There's certain things that are important to me. We're usually the best choice there,
Yeah.
and like we want those type of customers too. Like if you want the cheapest worst thing, not for you.
Yeah.
Adafruit's not for you. If you want like good value with people with good values, we're there for you. Okay. Let's see. How many feathers do you think are going to be updated just for USB-C? Well, over time, probably like all of
Yeah,
them.
eventually.
Yeah. Okay. Where's the best place to watch CircuitPython changes and updates for the Feather STM 32F405 Express?
Sign up for the newsletter.
Okay. Can we start an open source equivalent of Facebook? People have tried. And that's a very difficult thing. This is why, let's see, I'm not going to talk too long. But this is why there's a really good clip on television, from television on YouTube. It's when Mr. Rogers went to Congress, or he was testifying. And they were going to like shut down PBS or something. And like Mr. Rogers goes in and everyone was like, oh my gosh, and he's like, hey, Senator, like who cared for you when you were a child? Like you were a child once.
Yeah.
And I'm probably combining this with another Mr. Rogers thing, but television is so powerful, and it was such a unique thing to bring into the human species. You could transmit an image and motion and stories. Facebook has so much potential, and there's lots of interactions that are positive, that are good. It's just unusual to have one person control it all, and not to have an oversight board, and not to have the same things that we have with other forms of media where there's some checks and balances. Like there's decency rules with television. There's all sorts of stuff that you just can't do. Good example is the things that I delete off our Facebook page that would never be okay to put on television.
Yeah.
That people are trying to put on there. So there's certain rules, and like if you hear about machine learning and AI and like, okay, great, you're so smart, you can catch all these things except for you're not. Or like publish a transparency report, or like have an oversight board. Like this has one of the biggest potentials. I'll give you an example. So apparently Friday on Facebook, every Facebook profile page that you have, if you're over 18, is going to show places to vote. Yeah, I think we all kind of agree. That's nice. If you said you're over 18 and all these things, that's a nice resource. It seems like most people agree wearing a mask right now is pretty good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways that people could use these tools in good ways. I think I don't know if an open source version would make a difference anyways. I think we just have to decide what's important to us, what values that we care about. We obviously cared about television standards and radio standards. Well, there's certain things that it seems like these social networks that dance on the line of being a publisher or not should consider. So anyways, that's that. Let's see. Well, I'll just answer this thing. So for the people who say they've never had trouble using Facebook, well, you're maybe not a minority. Maybe you've never experienced having a picture of you and people ridiculing it because of your skin tone or the color of your hair or the gender you are. So just because you didn't have that experience doesn't mean other people. In fact, all of the research shows the times where people are most harassed online are places like Facebook in particular.
Yeah.
So that's one of those things where just because it didn't happen to you doesn't mean it doesn't happen to someone else. And that's why there's so many people that really want, like, all the professionals.
Yeah, it's like if you're running a piece of software and you're like, I run it just fine, and I wrote it, and I have 5,000 people emailing every day saying, the software crashes. It doesn't make sense for me to say it works for me. You're the problem.
You can send them a Docker thing and say, "Look, my computer is perfect. Here it is."
Yeah, but that's not how life works. I can't give you a Docker for my life.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would want. Like, we work really hard. I don't know if anyone would want our yeah. So, anyways, that's an analogy that I think that people can think about. Okay.
Yes, keep going.
I think that's. Do you have any plans for a Galileo Beato capable GPS?
Not at this time.
Okay. Let's see. I think that's it. Okay. So we're going to show the Python and hardware news.
Yes.
And then we're going to say goodbye at the end. So we'll see you in just a few minutes.
Bye.
It's that time again. This is Katney with your weekly Python on hardware news. Every week, we put together the Python for Microcontrollers newsletter. It is available through adafruitdaily.com. Head over to sign up and see all of the past and current newsletters, or tune in each week to hear what's going on. This week, Adafruit is going to the movies. John Lewis' Good Trouble is the chronicle of the life of the legendary civil rights activist and Democratic representative from Georgia, including Lewis's 60-plus years of social activism and legislative action on civil rights, voting rights, gun control, healthcare reform, and immigration. Thousands of protests, 45 arrests, 33 years in Congress. Sometimes change calls for a little trouble. Adafruit is purchasing over 100 on-demand tickets for the team to watch the movie on demand July 3rd. Why are we doing this? Magnolia Pictures joined with Adafruit and hundreds of other companies for the Stop Hate for Profit campaign, which means not advertising on Facebook in July. So we're helping to get the word out. Join Adafruit in going to the movies and watch John Lewis' Good Trouble, available beginning July 3rd. The Adafruit Clue board contains a powerful NRF52840 microcontroller, a suite of sensors, and a color display on a board the size of a BBC microbit. Here's a trio of articles from makers on using the Clue board with CircuitPython. In his Monday microcontroller series, Les takes a look at Clue and provides comparisons to the microbit. He demonstrates how to code the board in both Arduino and CircuitPython. Finally, he provides a review of the microbit add-ons that work with Clue. Check it out at bigl.es. ++int posts to Twitter using Bluetooth to talk between a microbit and Clue board in MakeCode and CircuitPython respectively. And finally, Wild as Pixel posts to Twitter using an Adafruit Clue and a Wi-Fi Featherwing, bridged with a Pimoroni pin between to upload sensor stats to Adafruit I/O. In this week's episode of Python Tea, host Nina Zakarenko talks with Thea Flowers. Thea has used CircuitPython on a number of projects, including modular synthesizer modules available at winterbloom.com. Check out the latest episode at twitch.tv/nnjaio. In this week's CircuitPython Deep Dive livestream, Scott streamed his work with ESP32S2 Bus I/O and getting ready for the pull request. Check out the latest video and past videos at adafru.it/deepdive. The Open Source Hardware Association posts a resolution to redefine SPI pin names. Oshawa states, "The words that we use have an impact. It is time to remove the words which describe a morally repugnant relationship, master and slave, from our technical vocabulary. These terms have been used for decades to describe the relationship between hardware components. Some of the standards and interfaces that use this terminology include SPI, I2C, and more. By way of example, the SPI protocol specifies logic signals with names including master output slave input, master input slave output, and slave select. This is unacceptable. Effective immediately, we call upon hardware and software developers to fully and widely adopt the resolution to redefine SPI pin names. While acknowledging that the change has its costs, there is no excuse for any member of our community or industries to continue to reference master and slave as technical terms going forward. We will continue to work on other standards." Read the full post at oshawa.org. Adafruit has been preemptively removing such language for a number of days. It is hoped that the broader community will join in these efforts. This week, we published the second translated guide in the Adafruit Learning System. The CircuitPython Essentials Guide has been translated into Spanish. Thank you to Alvaro for all of his work on the translations. You can find Esenciales para CircuitPython at learn.adafruit.com. This guide joins the first Spanish guide, Bienvenido a CircuitPython. Adafruit hopes to have additional translated guides in the future. The Adafruit subreddit surpassed 3,000 subscribers last week. The CircuitPython subreddit is very close to 1,000 subscribers. Get your CircuitPython information fixed via Reddit by becoming a member at reddit.com/r/CircuitPython. Tiny Town is a palm-sized light-emitting sculpture which is rechargeable and portable. A CircuitPython controller randomly and continually fades individual RGB LEDs through a range of warm colors. The piece can operate plugged into a USB outlet or untethered for more than 5 hours per recharge. For more details, check out Extra Sleepy on Instagram. Liz plays a game of Blink-A-Jump, programmed on an Adafruit Pi badge. For more details, check out Blitz City DIY on Twitter. Robotic Masters posts to Twitter playing with CircuitPython and a RoboHat MM1 to get multiple options out of a single button. Code is available on GitHub. Blinka's Breakout is a CircuitPython implementation of a game similar to Atari Classic Chips Challenge. Details available on hackaday.io. Learn about adding voice to a CircuitPython project using Amazon Polly. Display quotes and synthesize speech on an Adafruit Pi portal using CircuitPython and AWS serverless. Slogworks posts to Twitter dice rolls using an ARM Cortex-M4 Adafruit Feather microcontroller and display, programmed in CircuitPython and installed in a Mint tin. This Raspberry Pi project uses TEA5767 and TPA2016 modules via an I2C bus to create a web browser-controlled radio. Use an Adafruit Pi portal plus a soil sensor and CircuitPython for this IoT project. Sim Stapler Simulator. Simulate the Sim Stapler game with a real stapler and Circuit Playground Express in this write-up on scrust.com. Video available from Stuart Russell on YouTube. This week's episode of Microcontrollers with Kinger North is Controlling DC Motors with CircuitPython and Arduino, available on YouTube. The International Space Station Tracker displays the ISS current location and trajectory using a Raspberry Pi, ePaper display, ProtoStacks enclosure, and Python. Details available on hackster.io. PyCard 2 is a SAMD21 development board that uses Arduino and CircuitPython programming, available on Tindy. Learn about working with files in Python in this extensive tutorial available on realpython.com. Learn 3 essential steps to follow to increase the impact of your experiments in a Growth Marketer Guide to Designing A/B Tests using Python on towarddatascience.com. Learn about PySimple GUI, the simple way to create a GUI with Python in this tutorial from realpython.com. The number of CircuitPython-supported microcontrollers in single-board computers continues to grow. There were no new boards added this week. Are you interested in adding a new board to CircuitPython? Check out the Adafruit Learn System for a series of guides about getting your board added to CircuitPython and circuitpython.org. There are 4 new Python on hardware-related guides in the Adafruit Learn System this week, including Build an easily customizable LED demonstration or protest sign that can be seen at night using CircuitPython on a Feather M4 with the RGB Matrix Featherwing and any Adafruit RGB LED Matrix panel in this guide from John Park. Build your own Apex Legends Pathfinder robot friend with PyPortal and CircuitPython in this guide from John Park. The number of CircuitPython libraries is 260. This includes both the Adafruit CircuitPython libraries and the CircuitPython community libraries. There are no new libraries this week, but there are a number of updated libraries. As always, visit circuitpython.org/libraries to download the latest Adafruit CircuitPython bundle. Included in this week's updates from the CircuitPython team, Brian's been working on a CircuitPython library for the PCF8591 ADC DAC combo sensor from NXP. This is a fairly simple but useful little package. It's 8-bit, which doesn't quite measure up to some of the more high-end ADCs and DACs out there, but it comes with a DAC as well and is relatively inexpensive as well as widely available. Having an ADC and DAC in a small package certainly has a lot of potential, and the QT form factor will make it easy to squeeze into whatever use you find for it. Dan's main project now is implementing _BLEIO yet again, for the third time. This time he's targeting the HCI Bluetooth implementation on ESP32, which is used on our airlift boards. HCI is a standard serial-based command protocol that's used for many Bluetooth-capable coprocessors. After failing to make progress on SDIO support with his crude setup, Jeff ordered a development kit from Microchip with a properly wired SD card slot and existing demo of its use that he could build from source. This board, called SAM-E54 Explained Pro, is based on the SAM-E54 microcontroller, which is very similar to the SAM-D51 that is in so many of Adafruit's boards, but was not yet supported. There is now support for this board in CircuitPython, and this paves the way for other boards based on SAM-E54, and Jeff has also successfully used this board to read SD cards using SDIO from within CircuitPython, so work on that pull request has resumed. Melissa has been working on porting the PyPortal library over to Blinka. This was a fun project because it builds on top of the Display.io library that she had already been working on. Since Linux already has built-in facilities for things like networking, a lot of it involves stripping out things like communicating with the Airlift ESP module. Since things like displays are added into Raspberry Pi and not built in, she needed to add functionality to be able to define a display. So it likely won't be as clean as opening examples written for the PyPortal without modification. At this point, she has the Bitcoin example running and will be working to make the library more seamless. FlaskCon is a community-driven Flask event being held July 4th and 5th. Flask is a micro-web framework written in Python. Call for papers is currently open. Visit flaskcon.com for more information. EuroPython 2020 this year will be an online conference from July 23rd to 26th. Attending the conference days will require a ticket, and participating in the sprints will be free. Check out ep2020.europython.eu for details. PyCon AU has announced they are holding PyCon Line AU in August. Check out 2020.pycon.org.au for more information. PyCon India 2020 will be held online from October 3rd through 5th, 2020. A call for proposals is now open through the 14th of August. Visit in.org/2020 for details regarding the CFP and the conference. Translating CircuitPython is now easier than ever. Translations make the project more accessible to a broader range of folks. Adding or improving translations is a great way to get started contributing to the project. With the help of fellow open source project Weblate, we're making it even easier. You can create a new account just for Weblate or sign in using other sites like GitHub or Google. If you write another language, visit adafru.it/translatecp, sign in, and start translating. Looking for more Python on hardware all week? Join the Adafruit community on Discord and check out the Help with CircuitPython and CircuitPython channels. We're over 21,000 strong and continuing to grow. You'll find a supportive, positive community filled with like-minded folks. Join at adafru.it/discord. And that is your Python on hardware news for this week. Visit adafruitdaily.com to subscribe to the newsletter or tune in again next week.
Okay, I'm all caught up on CircuitPython.
Okay, thank you,
and Python
Kenny.
hardware news this week.
Canada.
Yeah, it's Canada Day.
Canada.
We had our remote meeting, and Kenny has the LED
Thing on her wall.
thing that she made.
Yeah.
So she had the Canada.
We had the Canada flag, and I was like, Canada
Yeah,
Day.
it's cool. Okay, well, that's our show for tonight.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Let me see who's in the chat behind the scenes here tonight. I think.
Is Jessie May?
I think so. Let me make sure. Yeah. All right.
Thank you, Jessie May.
Behind the scenes in the Adafruit Slack, thank you so much, Jessie May. And thank you to the entire Adafruit team, both remote and here We are so thankful that we have a team that's working safe and smart. We're getting the things in. We're making the things. We're shipping the things. We are getting our
You see, I'm
in-stock
cranking out.
percentages.
I
up.
got that mini boost. We got
Yeah.
a high G accelerometer.
Yeah.
So products are coming out. They're coming out.
Yeah, and then you know, no matter what one says now, it could be polarizing. But let me just say this:
Just say it.
we lived through some tough times in New York in March,
Yeah.
and April, and May, and even now, with
And during the financial crisis.
with well, this specifically with COVID,
Yeah.
and like I think April 15th was like the worst day.
It was the worst.
So
It was
we-
peak deaths, peak cases.
Yeah, we were asked to be an essential business. We had decided, even when it was like unknown if masks or hand wash, whatever it is, we said, well, let's just wear masks, and we'll help the city making face shields and electronics for medical devices. But we made sure we wore a mask at all times. None of us ever got sick. A lot of us got tested for antibody testing, and turns out we didn't get exposed. But a mask worked out for us, and I'll say this: when you're
We have math masks.
yeah,
masks.
we have math masks, but you know, maybe New Yorkers, or maybe we're kind of just used to like a lot of stuff going on, but it was terrible every day. Like, okay, 800 people died today. This many people are going to the hospital. A medical boat, you know, we looked out our apartment, and here comes
Yeah, it was like the boat. There's a boat. There's a boat.
yeah, you know, walking by, when we walk to work, there's one of the ways is a hospital, and you see a refrigerator semi truck trailer that gets converted to be a morgue because there's a lot
Yeah.
of dead bodies that are overflowing from where the hospitals had to put them
Okay,
somewhere.
yeah.
So if you're thinking about, like, please don't go through this like we did. It's been terrible for our business.
And it sucked.
And it's been scary, and like we've grinded through it because that's what we do. We're playing the video game on the hard level. But I could just tell you, like, don't live through what New York lived through for the last. It was from March 15th to April 15th. It was getting worse by the hour, by the day, and it was.
It wasn't stopping.
Yeah, and like, you know, our roles as managers and people who do things to bring people together and have employees, you know, part of it was listening to someone crying on the phone because they have a relative or someone that died or
Yeah.
got sick, or they don't know what's going to happen next, or they had a close friend. You know, one of the things that happened was we have a lot of people that came from entry-level jobs in other types of industries like food service to Adafruit. Like, Adafruit's like a really good job, but they still have friends in other parts of industries, and those jobs aren't great, and they lost friends. So please don't go through this. Don't live through what we did. Like,
Don't do this.
Like, you can,
Not fun.
yeah, you could see past Asking Engineers during that time. It was devastating, and then we're like, okay, let's still try to do a show. Let's try to do this. So if you're thinking about it, or if you have a relative who's like not sure they want to wear a mask, or if you're in an area where they're talking about the infection rates going up, like, it really, I could just tell you, because there was a time where it's like, oh, look, it's not that bad. This thing then hits you 2 weeks later. So, like, you don't want to go through this. We got hit hardest, the most.
Yeah.
And like right now, there's some normalcy returning, but even today, so Lady Ada was on the city council meeting, and they said, hey, heads up, like, we're not going to do dine-in restaurant stuff. The numbers aren't looking good.
Yeah.
And so that was announced today. The other thing is, we have people at Adafruit that if they go to any, like, people are still going to go on vacation, or they have a relative they have to go visit or take care of. If they go to a specific state, when they come back, they have to quarantine for 14 days.
Yeah.
So
That's
like,
the state guidelines.
yeah, so like, there is this time period right now, and you know, there was a time period that passed to kind of get rid of this
Yeah.
by July. So we have a new chance together as a nation, talking specifically about USA, 4th of July, yay America. If we all wear masks, like, not only will it save lives, but we do have a bit of time where potentially we can get this thing back down, and that means the sooner we can reopen the economy, the sooner we can do
Just
the things
pretend
that,
like it's cosplay or something. It's fun.
yeah.
I don't want to wear one, but like, you know, it's a good idea.
My parting words are, you don't want to go through what we did in New York. Like, you don't. It was terrible.
Okay.
So don't go through what we went through. You do not want this. And I just want to tell you like a story from, like, people are going to make all their own decisions. I could just tell you it was terrible. And y'all have known us for years. You can, we've been through a bunch together. You don't want to go through this. So,
Okay.
masks are good. They are. They work.
All right.
We have the data. Okay. All right. That's it, everybody. Thank you so
All right,
much.
thank you, everybody.
We'll see you next week. And we will do show and tell next week. We'll see everybody next week. Here is your moment of Zener.